Welcome to the third of our sessions with BPO expert Alistair Niederer. I'm John Williams, the CMO at the Instant Group. And in today's session, we're going to talk about global property insights, and we're going to offer market expertise for strategic advantage within the BPO sector. More than ever before, there's a greater utility and greater volume of data that could be supplied to help make business decisions around workspace and around property portfolio decisions. Alistair, in your experience of working with numerous businesses globally, do businesses have deep property data across their current locations and also trying to understand future locations on a data basis?
Hi, John. What I would say is that we all have traditional business relationships with what I would call as the traditional property broker that is able to provide data. But the data they provide is, I would say, very generic in terms of lease terms, what's out there, what's available. I think what it doesn't do is give you the specific data for the specific location for the specific purpose. Again, with that concept of speed to market, you need to be working with somebody who is ahead of the game, if you like, looking at those trends. So it's not enough to get a list of properties that might become available. It has to be specific to the purpose.
We're seeing across numerous sectors, it's about space and the supply of space finally matching up to customer demands and providing utility in that way. But do you also see a future whereby if you can get your hands on the right property data in the right markets, you really need to marry that up to people data and understanding how you can hire the right staff in the right areas? Because it's those two things in conjunction that really give you the best options to fulfill a contract in the BPO world.
In the outsourcing business, generally, everything is driven by the business development engine. So people are on the ground trying to close deals for delivery in the Philippines from the US. They're in the UK looking at delivery into Cape Town. And those business development people are in continual dialogue with the brands, finding out what their trends, what's moving forward. They're giving them information. And it's more valuable to the brand to be given the insights by the business development team to say, how are you feeling about Poland versus Egypt versus South Africa? They're looking for knowledge. They're not looking for a rate per square foot or anything like that.
Now, Alistair, you've worked from Southland to Sydney to Singapore to Scotland. And I'm assuming within that you've procured numerous locations over that time. Have you seen the time to market, as it were, decrease during your career?
In answer to that, yes. So what typically was a 6-month sales cycle, when you're running at a decent pace with somebody who has great options, you are seeing that sales cycle decrease a lot. And the reason it can decrease is that there's pressure from the brand to move and do something different. So if you can't tell people where the best location is in Egypt and why and what's available, somebody else will. Yeah. And that somebody else, generally you're seeing a coddling together of multiple local agents who give their impressions or views. It's not systematic. It's not in such a structured format that you can actually tap into a living, breathing database which has many feeder points and allows you to put the evidence behind your recommendations.
Do businesses have a documented property portfolio strategy, enabled by data, of course, but do they have a 3 to 5 year window to really understand what's coming their way? Or is this more of a hand-to-mouth existence?
I think it sits more at the emotional end of the group decisions because those things are handled by the board, and often those boards are in the US in its largest scale. So, from US to UK to Germany. So you're seeing people really taking, in a lot of cases, emotional decisions because they have their own preference and not backed up by solid data. So they'll look at the trends of the brands and who's liking to be in different places more. A great example is Sub-Saharan Africa versus other locations in Africa, other locations around the world. Why would you go to one, not the other? And often it becomes one of saturation. It becomes one of a real scramble in a particular location. So you need to sit back, take a deep breath, work with somebody who is globally managing a flexible workspace portfolio who can then rank these things, take all of their data points and give you a good reason why the board should make a decision in one particular direction.
For so many businesses, particularly among professional services, real estate represents the second biggest cost within the business, usually after people. Too often we see it written off as just a cost, not as a value driver. Within the data that you demand from a business, the more we can give you as a sector, the better business decisions you can make. Not only from, should we say, the finance director's point of view, but increasing with ESG too. It's about the data you get back will allow you to make better decisions and fulfill your contract, both from a financial sense, but also an ESG sense.
If you're looking at the significance of making decisions based on data that you have on sustainability as probably one of the moving key tenets. You may be interested to know that insurance companies, as an example, when they're looking at a short list of suppliers, 20% of their decisions, probably up to 25%, is based on sustainability issues, ESG issues. Now, when you relate that to property, it's hugely significant because every country has its different profiles, its energy sources. Generally, companies are very good at governance. They're good at their social sustainability and how they manage their employees. But environment is now becoming even more critical. So when you look at the legal requirements of people to report their greenhouse gas emissions, their CO2 equivalents, these things have now become part and parcel of what you do with your property. So to have science-based responses on the efficiency of a particular site is critical. And it is going to be a key element of that criteria for selecting a property and a property partner.
From your expertise within the sector, you clearly worked on a global basis. Do you have a mind as to sort of the next big locations of BPO and where the sector will grow on a geographic basis over the next 5 to 10 years?
It's a great question of where are these locations moving? And we have seen a significant shift. I think what hasn't been calibrated in the where next is what are those functions, right? What are the back office functions that will replace front office functions? I'm working with companies in BPO who might have 40% work from home in Joburg with very high quality people working on a debt solution, for example. So that's quite different from a pure, where is my order, customer service. Mm-hmm. So could I predict anywhere? We've seen a lot of movement out of, for the English language anyway, and certainly some of the European languages, perhaps out of Eastern Europe to other locations. We're seeing language tools impacting things so much where you've got terrific translation services. So I don't know that anywhere is off the cards because you're looking at the shifting sands of responding so that you've got people working daytime hours, which they prefer rather than nighttime hours. Yeah. So you're leveraging the global market.
I suppose it does reflect our own sector, whereby one of the biggest challenges for flex workspace is that we still represent, even in a very mature market like London, only 6% of total office supply. So the biggest structural issue we see within the sector is demand is far outstripping supply. In markets like South Africa, for example, we know that the proportion of flex space to the conventional market is even lower. It's like 2 or 3%. So it's hard to find solutions. It has to be quite bespoke or customized. Not to say it can't be done, but people like the Instant Group will work through those problems to create customized solutions. There's a significant commercial opportunity for the flexible workspace sector to be working and hand in glove with BPO firms in, shall we say, sub-Saharan Africa or even in Eastern Europe, where we know there probably isn't enough off-the-shelf flex workspace supply currently.
The question is all about how are you approaching these markets, particularly where you will see a saturation of property and you're seeing a lack of property, you're seeing a lack of workers. It's a tricky one and you've got to be nimble and be flexible. But when you're in a flexible workspace environment, you're looking at all of the places, not just the traditional places. I think that's the key. You're leaving no stone unturned. So a flexible workspace provider understands anything from serviced offices, short-term leases, long-term leases, managed offices, fully managed broker solutions. So you need to work with a service provider who has all of the cards and knows exactly where to look. And when you look at a property selection process, you might find that actually there is quite a bit in that location, which you otherwise wouldn't have found.
As ever, your expertise is much valued and incredibly useful. Thanks for your time today. To sum up, I suggest that having global market data where to allow for proper international benchmarking is critical to the BPO sector, to allow businesses to make quality-based decisions and allow them to fulfill contracts, not only for the value for the customer, but value for their own business by looking at the best market with the right people in the right location. So, Alistair, thank you very much.
Thank you.